And welcome back, everybody, to the Tech Summit podcast. This is going to be episode 4, and thank you so much for joining me here today. So, today's episode is actually going to be shorter, considering that what we have to talk about doesn't really have too much, I want to say. Well, there just isn't really too much to say about uh, our topic here, and that is going to be retro handheld yet again. However, I'm speaking about this because we finally got the Retroid Pocket 3. And the Retroid Pocket 3, as I do have a review unit, my review should actually be up tomorrow, if anything. So please subscribe to the main channel in case of anything so that you don't miss that review. However, the Retroid Pocket 3 is kind of a game changer considering that the Retroid Pocket 3 costs $120 essentially, and it can run so many different types of games. Now, it does not run PlayStation 2 very well whatsoever, and the same kind of goes for a good chunk of GameCube games and especially Wii games. So there are going to be those issues and those concerns still. You know, the things that you should expect from a handheld that only costs $120. And in comparison to the RG353P, we do have what I would consider to be a much more ambitious device. And this in the sense that it just accomplishes more. We have a beautiful display, which is close to 720p. I think it's 750p, if I'm not mistaken. And the colors do look really good on it, for example. And we obviously do have a full set of buttons, but the placement of the select and start buttons are going to be on top of the device, which is just completely awkward to use. So it is something that I don't like. However, that display that I just mentioned is a 16 by 9 screen, which is a pretty big deal to me. It means that I can play games squared off at 4 by 3 if I really want to, or I can play games at 16 by 9, which is usually what I prefer. That's usually what I like to go for. So the Retro Pocket 3 does offer that for a very low amount of money. And I feel like Retroid, when it comes to price to performance, they have always been very good. Actually, better than any other company out there. From what I have seen, they're better than Palkity when it comes to that aspect. They're better than Amberneck, and they're better than some of the other competitors whose names I do forget. However, there are still so many devices yet to come out, and this is just on the Android side, of course. Because even on the Windows side, we do still have some pretty cool things coming in. And actually, now that we're here, I really wanted to mention the Logitech handheld that Logitech is working on right now. And they're advertising it as a streaming device, but it does run on Android. And it is reportedly going to come with 4 gigabytes of RAM, which is just quite interesting for sure. So this is something that obviously everybody is going to get for emulation, not just for game streaming. Game streaming might be the least of our worries here. I would say that emulation is where it's really at. So it would be very interesting to see where that device takes us, how well it's going to compete against the Iron Odin, since it's most likely going to be priced at around that kind of price range. And how does it compete against the Switch as well? As in, which one should you get? Should you just stream your games, or should you just be able to play them natively? Personally, I would prefer to play them natively. However, how good would game streaming be on this device in particular? That is something that we still don't know right now. However, when review units start coming out, we're going to find out, which is pretty good. And now, when it comes to the Windows front, it does seem like Ion is having some issues when it comes to distributing their Odin models right now. Uh, According to a few sources, it seems like Ion is really struggling to just be able to ship out Odin models, which is actually affecting the production and sales of the low-key models, since people are definitely skeptical about whether or not they're going to end up receiving a product, how long is it going to take, and that sort of thing. People are a little bit angry right now, and very much justifiably so. I already have my Odin, so I have no reason to be angry myself. But um, I think that it is still very important to note that maybe this isn't the right time to back this campaign, this Indiegogo campaign, just because of the so many issues regarding the distribution of their products and that kind of thing. Uh, I feel like there have been constant delays and delays and delays. I mean, I got mine probably sometime in April when I placed my order at around the end of December. Uh, and they technically didn't start shipping until January. So, I mean, I understand that. I ended up getting my unit, and my unit is working beautifully as I would expect it to. It is my go-to retro handheld right now, in fact. And the Retro Pocket 3 actually kind of reminds me of the Odin, just of like having a smaller Odin that's maybe just a little bit underpowered with that aspect in mind. Um, but with supply chain issues, I suppose, on the low key side and Odin side as well, since they're both linked. It looks like we are going to have a difficult time getting our units. So, like for example, I actually wanted to buy an Iron Odin Lite and possibly load it with Windows so that I could test it out. However, the Loki was announced just shortly after, and in my opinion, I think that the Loki was announced way too quickly. I think that they're trying to compete maybe just a little bit too hard with the rest of the Windows market right now, with the Win 600, which did actually make it onto the market, with the Steam Deck, with the GPD Win 3, even though we are getting a GPD Win 4, which I'm very excited for. I hope that I can actually get it because it looks so cool, and I hope that it still works with the dock that they sell for the GPD Win 3 as well. But with that said, there's just a lot going on in the retro handled scene because now there's even more competition coming in, but there's also a lot going on the Windows scene where so many companies are jumping in to be able to make a Windows handheld, an affordable Windows handheld. They saw that Valve was able to make the Steam Deck at $400. And now, granted, it doesn't run Windows by default, but it does run Linux, so you can use it as a desktop if you want to, like if you dock it. And also, it's just an affordable way of playing PC games on the go. A lot of people love the Steam Deck, myself included. I think that the Steam Deck is amazing. It's an incredible product. However, a lot of these companies are pricing still their devices maybe just a little bit higher than the Steam Deck. Now, the low key, there are options for the low key, depending on which one you want. But right now, we should probably keep the low key out of this conversation just because of the supply issues and them being able uh, to handle pre-orders and that kind of thing. Um, but if anything, I will still try to get a review unit of the Loki at some point. However, when it comes to something like the GPD Win 4, which is going to be a much more powerful device and definitely going to be priced at over $1,000. So it looks like there is still a market for that. We've got the One X players, for example, Aya as well, even though the Aya Neo Air did release at around $650, if I'm not mistaken. And it is genuinely, I mean, it appears to be a very good handheld. I would love to get a review unit of that as well. So I'm going to be working on that to see what I can do, to see just how many of these systems I can test out so that I can see how good they are, how good a Windows handheld would be, and how easy I suppose it would be to make one. Because it seems like these are just coming in left, right, hook, and center. Um, so we have all of these companies just coming out with Windows handhelds, and I look forward to seeing what the market has in store in that regard. Now, on the Android side, we do have the Palkity X28 that is yet to come out, but it is something that now we have seen quite a bit of, and it does seem like a pretty interesting device. It is going to be the successor to the X18s, I would say, but the X18s is a really good device that, I mean, it can run GameCube and PlayStation 2, not perfectly, but with some tweaks, with some important tweaks, of course, you can make them run pretty decently, but it does still depend on the game. Not every game will be supported to that degree, and it's just due to performance. I mean, some games are just going to be more demanding than others. So I'm excited to see the X28. And I know that Miyu is also working on something. Now, I don't know if that device is actually going to be Android based or if it is still going to be Linux based, kind of like the Miyu Mini. Well, I'm actually not entirely sure if the Miyu Mini is Linux based, but the Miyu Mini does have a very simple interface, and it looks like they're going to be coming out with something that is maybe not so mini and that is maybe more comparable to, I want to say, the Retroid Pocket 3. But I think that this is a pretty exciting time for handhelds because competition is raving at the moment and it's only going to get crazier from here. So I look forward to seeing what's going to be coming out from now in September, from all the way to the end of the year, where everything is just going to fall into place. And then I would also like to make a full-on video comparing every retro handheld that I got my hands on. So please subscribe for that as well. Not just to the podcast channel, even though I would very much appreciate that, but also subscribe to Tech Summit over on YouTube. So links to the main channel down below, so that you don't miss that when it does come out. Now, with that said, I think that this pretty much covers everything that I wanted to say. So thank you so much for watching this episode all the way to the very end. It is always appreciated, and please note as well that I do have other channels too. Like for example, I do have a vlogging channel if you want to go there, and I do stream on Twitch. I'm also on Instagram, so you can find me there. And with that said, thank you so much for watching. Again, this has been Francisco from Tech Summit. Until next time, enjoy.